He was a player who only flirted but never committed. Yet when he saw the innocent girl before him, he hesitated unexpectedly. Her name was Tessa, and just after stepping out of the shower, she discovered a stranger had materialized in her dorm room that should have been empty.
Excuse me? I think that you're in the wrong room.
Yet the man showed no concern. Instead, under Tessa's bewildered gaze, he produced the key to her room, leaving her frozen in place as she begged him to leave so she could dress. To her shock, the man not only refused to leave but openly mocked her with shocking words.
Don't flatter yourself. I'm not looking.
Tessa was stunned, but only when her roommate appeared did she learn this man was Hardin, the infamous campus heartthrob, sending tremors through her heart. Even with her sheltered life, Hardin's notorious reputation had reached her ears, so she firmly declined his and her roommate's party invitation, unaware their story was just beginning. Days later, while studying alone at a cafe, Tessa unexpectedly encountered him again. Though she pretended nonchalance, Hardin's defiant face imprinted itself in her mind like a stone rippling water, sparking curiosity about this handsome boy. Determined to understand this dangerous stranger, Tessa unusually accepted her roommate's invitation to Hardin's party, unknowingly provoking Molly. As one of Hardin's lovers, Molly refused to share she and demanded Tessa answer intimate questions during a truth or dare game. Tessa didn't want to answer, so she went with the second option. The crowd instantly burst out, daring her to kiss Hardin, leaving her completely stunned. Hardin remained unfazed, closing in with a dangerous glint.
Do you want to do this?
Tessa's heart pounded wildly as she ran from the mocking crowd, completely unaware that Molly had filmed the whole thing, a moment that would change their fate forever and quietly set the stage for everything to come. Stepping outside, Tessa noticed dozens of missed calls and lied to her boyfriend about being with friends, deliberately omitting Hardin. After hanging up, she wandered into a deserted study and discovered her favorite book, but never imagined Hardin would appear behind her and recite its contents.
He's more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same.
Tessa was hit with a wave of emotion. To her surprise, she realized that despite their opposite natures, she and Hardin shared the same interests. That unexpected connection struck her hard, and in the warmth of his subtle touch, she almost gave in. Only the last shred of reason in her mind screamed loud enough to pull her out of the haze.
I can't. I need to go.
With that, she turned and walked away. But even as she left, Hardin's presence lingered, haunting her thoughts like a shadow she couldn't shake. She found herself distracted, barely able to focus while replying to her boyfriend's texts. Their long-distance relationship, already strained, now felt painfully hollow, and in that moment, something between them quietly broke, leaving behind a rift neither of them could ignore. By the next day, during Tessa's favorite literature class, the professor brought up a question about everyone's understanding of love. Tessa believed love was a reflection of loyalty and willpower, but Hardin argued that love was the downfall of free will born from desire and transaction, which instantly shattered the quiet affection Tessa had begun to feel for him, sparking a heated argument between them. Even when he came after her afterward trying to make peace, it was no use.
I enjoyed it.
Look, whatever you're thinking, don't. Nothing happened between us, okay? I have a boyfriend.
Us. I thought we were talking about Pride and Prejudice.
Tessa was caught off guard, but Hardin walked away with a smug grin, as if he'd won some kind of game, pushing her disgust toward him to a boiling point. She vented her frustration to her friend Landon, but what he said next completely stunned her. Hardin's father was the dean of the school. Tessa was floored. Never in a million years would she have guessed that this rebellious, street fighter type had such an elite background. But before she could even process the shock, Hardin approached her the next day with a serious look on his face.
Hi.
Hi.
I can't stay away from you.
Tessa was confused, but Hardin gave a weak excuse, saying he was best friends with her roommate and that, since they shared a mutual friend, maybe they could start fresh and drop the animosity. Then he invited her to a mysterious location. Tessa wanted to say no, but at the very last second, she changed her mind after all. In the carefree days of youth, who could resist a bad boy with a roguish charm? A soft breeze blew. The winding road ahead felt like the passage of time, merging like stardust in their eyes. In that hazy, almost magical atmosphere, they arrived at a secluded lake, the so-called secret place Hardin had never shown anyone before.
How about a swim?
Without hesitation, Hardin stripped off his clothes, and under Tessa's stunned gaze, dove into the cool water, then turned and invited her in.
Come in. You can wear my t-shirt.
In that moment, logic told her to say no to this wild idea, but her heart, swayed by his fiery gaze, made a different choice. Blushing, she changed into his clothes, her shy beauty blooming like a delicate flower, stunning even the usually unshakable Hardin. For a second, he was spellbound, as if he'd just discovered a rare and priceless pearl, and he carefully helped her into the water, afraid that the illusion might shatter with the slightest touch. And in that fragile yet electric moment of getting closer, the invisible line between them began to blur, until it finally vanished beneath the reflection of the trees and sky.
Thought that you just wanted to be friends.
I don't think we can ever be just friends.
Tessa's heart trembled, and overcome with emotion, she kissed Hardin with abandon, as if time had frozen and the world had gone silent, save for the ripple of water and the rare, fleeting coolness of summer. Later, as they stepped back onto land, Tessa turned away from Hardin, a strange feeling blooming in her chest. Quietly, she reached out and took his hand, as if she was finally accepting this wild yet gentle man. They ended up talking for hours under the dim lights of a bar, sharing stories and laughter, a joy Tessa had never known before. But as always, love has a way of turning bitter. Just when Tessa thought their relationship was becoming real, Molly, who had long been infatuated with Hardin, suddenly showed up. Her presence, and the unusual tension between her and Hardin, didn't escape Tessa's notice. Then, Molly deliberately ran her hands along Hardin's back, claiming him in the most obvious way.
Oh, how's the boyfriend, Tess?
Tessa's expression instantly darkened, and just as Hardin tried to leave, Molly stopped him, insisting he stay with her. Unable to refuse, Hardin gave in and casually tossed his keys to Tessa, asking her to leave on her own.
Really?
Yes. I won't be long.
Tessa's heart sank to the floor, and with Molly looking triumphant, she walked away, completely confused by Hardin's sudden shift from passion to coldness. Then Hardin came out, acting as if nothing had happened.
What was what?
Were you, embarrassed that they saw us together?
He denied everything, but in that moment, Tessa confessed she was planning to come clean to her boyfriend about what had happened. The second Hardin heard that, his expression completely changed.
If you want to dump Mr. High School, then go ahead, but don't do it on my account. Look, it was fun, but I don't date.
Tessa couldn't believe her ears. His reaction exposed everything she hadn't wanted to see. His evasive eyes and cold indifference shattered the last piece of hope in her heart. But little did he know the boy who once swore to slay dragons would someday grow scales in his own palm, and the girl who tried to tame a beast with a rose would ultimately be torn apart by the very claws she dared to trust. After the emotional blow from Hardin, Tessa fell into deep self-doubt, even starting to imitate Molly's heavy makeup in a desperate attempt to get closer to Hardin. She drifted between dreams and reality, fantasizing about being with him, as if Hardin had become an unshakable spell carved deep into her mind. That was when her boyfriend Noah suddenly showed up, shattering the fragile calm.
What are you doing here?
With a casual hug, he masked the unease in his heart, and at Noah's request, Tessa brought him to the bonfire party that night. But all of this was seen by Hardin, who stood in the shadows, his heart smoldering with jealousy like wildfire, because even if he had pushed her away, every move Tessa made still tugged at his soul. So when one of his friends began flirting with Tessa despite being told not to, Hardin snapped and unleashed all his fury on the guy, throwing himself into a violent fight. It took several people to finally pull them apart, and after shooting Tessa one last look, Hardin turned and walked away, leaving her in a wave of unexpected disappointment. Little did she know, that same night, after Noah had fallen asleep, a sudden text would change everything. Without a word, she left Noah alone at home and snuck out to a lavish villa Hardin's mansion, but the place was already a complete mess.
What happened?
Your name sort of came up. I figured maybe he would talk to you.
That's when Tessa learned the truth. Hardin's father was about to remarry to Landon's mother, and for someone as prideful as Hardin, the news cut deep, sending him spiraling into a drunken stupor. He confessed to Tessa that he didn't believe he deserved love, which was why he'd always pulled away from her. In that moment, Tessa finally understood why he had rejected her, and something in her heart softened toward this deeply vulnerable side of Hardin. In the warm, dim light of that night, they ended up sharing an unforgettable moment together. But the next morning, as she stared at dozens of missed calls from Noah, panic set in. It was already too late. Noah, who hadn't slept all night, was standing outside the door. Tessa quickly lied, saying she had gone out to help a friend. But just then, Hardin, unable to stay away, showed up. And in that instant, everything became clear to Noah. Even his lips began to tremble.
No. Please, can we just go inside and talk?
I don't believe this.
Yet even so, he gave Tessa one final shred of dignity, leaving alone in silence and heartbreak. In this one-sided love, it seemed the one who wasn't loved was the real outsider. All of Noah's deep devotion was returned with nothing more than a quiet "I'm sorry," a line that seemed to close the chapter on their story. As the roar of the car engine faded into the distance, Tessa was left overwhelmed with guilt, and soon fell into a complicated emotional spiral with Hardin. Compared to Hardin, her love for Noah had always felt more like family, but hurting someone who'd done nothing wrong that was never something she wanted. From that day on, Tessa slipped back into a lonely, doubtful version of herself. She ignored her mother's endless questioning, falling into a deep, unshakable silence until one day, she saw Hardin again. She told him that her whole life had been scripted by her mother. She was always the obedient, well-behaved girl. Even Noah had been chosen by her mother, but Hardin's appearance felt like light breaking through the darkness.
Noah's my best friend. You're so much more.
That melted Hardin's heart instantly. For the first time, he stopped resisting love and allowed Tessa to truly exist in his world. Like moonlight spilling over a carved window frame, a soft frost of tenderness settled in his heart. Their relationship began to grow wild and free, like weeds breaking through desert sand, until the barren wasteland bloomed into an oasis. They would spend sunny afternoons breathing in the scent of fresh grass, or sneak into the closed library when no one was looking, diving into their favorite books. In those vibrant, rebellious teenage years, they experienced a love that felt raw and real. But just as their passion reached a fever pitch, Tessa's mother burst in like a raging storm, leaving them frozen in place. She couldn't believe her well-mannered daughter would ever do something so outrageous. Despite Tessa's desperate pleas, her mother firmly demanded she break up with Hardin. What she didn't expect was that the power of love had given Tessa courage she never had before.
Do you know what it has been like trying to be perfect for you? Having you mold my life into the way that you wanted it to be.
I did it for your own good.
I am so sorry, Mom, that your life didn't work out the way that you wanted it to. I really am. But this is my life, and you have to let me live it.
That was when her mother's heart finally broke completely, yet she still spoke from the experience of someone who had lived through it all, and said to her daughter,
He's gonna break your heart.
Yet at that moment, Tessa couldn't understand her mother's good intentions. Instead, feeling misunderstood, she turned to her friend Landon and poured out all her bitterness. But to her surprise, Landon echoed the very same words her mother had said. Seeing Tessa so firm in her belief, Landon chose not to say more after all. Love in youth often gives people the courage to challenge the world, but they seldom realize how hard reality will strike back. With hope in her heart, Tessa began a blissful cohabitation with Hardin. They held hands under the sunny lawn as if to prove to the world that they had made the right choice. And so she told Hardin,
Nothing could ever change the way that I feel about you.
Hardin's heart wavered, unaware that happiness, like ripe summer fruit, always falls when it's too full. Just like the "I love you" he wrote in foam behind Tessa's back, it would eventually vanish with time. One day, while home alone, Tessa was drawn by the sound of incoming text messages. Curious, she picked up Hardin's phone only to find dozens of flirtatious messages pouring in. Before she could react, Hardin suddenly walked in.
You don't know what she's talking about.
I mean, I don't know.
What didn't you tell me?
Nothing. I need to go.
What? Now?
But instead of offering an explanation, he coldly asked Tessa a question before walking away without looking back. Even after he left, a deep sense of unease gnawed at her. Night fell, yet Hardin never returned, and the growing silence only made her anxiety worse. Determined to find him, Tessa followed a lead from one of Hardin's friends and arrived at their usual bar, but she never expected to run into Molly, who had always had feelings for Hardin. The moment brought back memories of those texts, and Tessa, unable to contain herself, bluntly told Molly that she and Hardin were now living together. Molly's eyes sparkled with amusement. Before Tessa could defend herself, that same friend returned with Hardin. His expression immediately darkened, but Tessa confronted him, demanding to know if something was going on between them.
Tessa, nothing's going on.
Don't you think this thing has gone a little too far?
What thing, Hardin?
Hardin grew visibly nervous and tried to get Tessa to leave with him, but it was already too late. Molly turned to Tessa and asked if she remembered their very first game of truth or dare. Then, ignoring Hardin and the others' attempts to stop her, she pulled out a recording from that night.
Like, what happened, Hardin?
Here's a dare. Make her fall in love with me. And then I'll just turn it off.
Tessa's eyes widened in disbelief. She realized that what she thought was a flawless love had been born from a careless bet. Every sweet word from Hardin now felt like 1,000 knives stabbing through her chest. And when she found out her roommate knew all along, it was as if she'd become the punchline of someone else's cruel joke. Ignoring Hardin's desperate pleas, she staggered away, shattered. Hardin chased after her.
You're just a liar.
That was all before.
Before what?
Before
You snapped your fingers and you turned it off.
You said nothing could change the way you felt about me.
Then I guess we're both liars.
But sometimes, love ends not with fire but with rain. That soul-crushing heartbreak fell like a torrential downpour, smashing the once vibrant petals of love into the ground. Those warm memories were now sharp blades. At last, Tessa understood her mother's warnings, and Landon's words too. She realized she was not a fairy tale princess, and Hardin would never be her prince. With that clarity, she returned home, confessed her mistakes to her mother, and sought out Noah, the one she had hurt. With sincerity, she apologized and finally spoke the words she'd kept buried.
I'm so sorry, Noah. I never meant to hurt you.
Despite the pain he'd endured, Noah chose to forgive. He told her, "Maybe you're not my flower, and I was only lucky enough to pass through your bloom. So don't force yourself, there's a long road ahead, and we'll both find our own light." They shared a quiet smile and let everything go. Thanks to the grace of her mother and Noah, Tessa finally chose to leave the past behind. When she received an internship offer from a publishing house, she made up her mind to move on, but just before leaving, her professor handed her a letter. Caught off guard, Tessa hesitated, but with Landon's encouragement, she opened it. Inside were a few faded photographs. Hardin had written, "I've read hundreds of novels, and whether it's Darcy or Heathcliff, they all claim love as the center of the world. I always thought they were fools until I met my own Elizabeth. Only then did I realize how wrong I'd been. Love isn't just a fantasy buried in dusty pages. It's the greatest miracle we'll ever witness in this world. It's the hand that pulled me out of the dark. It's you." Tessa's heart trembled, but a love mist is like a bitter drink, time only deepens the ache. Even with passion still burning in their hearts, some love stories are simply doomed.